You guys have never shit your pants like ever in your adult life?
I haven't.
I did in high
shit my pants the
school.
other day.
In high school, what happened?
I talked about this in my special, Hot for My Name on YouTube. I shit my pants at Cold Stone. I thought, yeah.
And they chopped up and put it right in.
No.
It was a Gookies and Cream.
And then
I hate you so much.
Ding, 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 ding.
and then I was technically wearing a skirt, so I can't really say shit my pants. Get 20% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/Trash Tuesday. Start Ritual or add Essential for Women prenatal to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/Trash Tuesday for 20% off.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit betterhelp.com/Trash Tuesday today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Trash Tuesday.
This Friday, New York and Los Angeles, you can see Drugstore Jude in theaters. I can't believe it. And next week, we will be in more cities. Get tickets at drugstoreJune.com. I'm really excited for this.
Hey, Sluggies. I'm so excited. I'm on the road. I have an Annie Wood and Friends this next week on the 20th. At the Comedy Store, I have Dimitri Martin, Anthony Jeselnik, Andrew Santino, and Robbie Hoffman. It's going to be amazing, so I'll see you there. Also, I'm going to go to the JFL in Vancouver, February 21st and 22nd. March is a huge comedy month for me. I'll be in Fort Worth, Texas, March 1st and 2nd. Albuquerque, New Mexico, March 8th and 9th. Washington, D.C., March 22nd and 23rd. And Jacksonville, Florida was rescheduled to June 28th. And every month, Annie Wood and Friends at the Comedy Store. See you guys.
Cool t-shirt, Esther.
Thanks. You know, we have an icon in the room.
We really do.
I've never met you, but I feel like I know you.
I know, same.
You've just sort of been in or around my television or in my life or through stories through Bobby for so long.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because of Mad TV.
Yeah.
Would you also say like kind of the first viral, but then the first viral female comic?
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, you can be hot and funny? Welcome, Anjelah Johnson.
Thank you. I love that intro.
Sexy and funny.
Wait,
Pioneer.
maybe the first like truly like hot comic?
Oh my God, thank you so much. This is my favorite intro so far.
And new mother.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
It
Which
is.
obviously I'm very curious about.
Yeah.
The transition of a long life of being a female comic and then everything changes.
Is it especially scary because both of you live such an atypical schedule with touring, being on the road, having to travel like while pregnant? Is it especially scary when you first find out you're pregnant?
It was nerve-wracking, but for me, I was trying to get pregnant, so I wanted it, and even though I wanted it, the second I found out, my heart was beating so fast, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't know anything. I don't know how to be a mom. I don't know how to keep a baby alive. Like, I don't know. As soon as I saw the positive, I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Wait, that's actually so different from me. Like, where I'm so obsessed with like a win, you know? So I just was living in the like, I did it. Like I was so celebratory, like I can do it. But I think I'm slowly now like, what?
The height from the win has come down. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait, so
Is this an L after all?
Oh my God. So did you try for a while or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, a couple years. It was a long process. So I did IVF and it was like a whole thing. We always said we didn't want kids. I'm 41.
Wait, I'm so particularly obsessed with this because I identify as someone that was never sure. And I'm so curious about the people who were never sure, never wanted. And then like that all changes.
Just pivot. Yeah, like that is super interesting because I sort of feel like I'm on the same boat of I never felt that strong like maternal pull. I never had like that definitive like, yes, this is what I want. Like never.
Right.
And I'm almost 40 and I still don't have that. And what was that point
but
for
you're
you?
Unsure, right?
Yeah, unsure.
Like, you're not a definite no.
No, very just like sort of like not a definite no, not a definite yes, not even a definite maybe. Like I'm just nowhere.
Yeah, you're just not thinking about it.
Yeah,
It's
or
just,
like I actually quite the opposite. I think about it too much.
Ah,
And I think because I think about it too much, there's I maybe overly like analytical about like either way. So I think what needs to happen is I just need to like randomly get knocked up and like have the universe make that decision for me.
Be an
Yeah,
accident.
So I'm like,
There it
okay,
is.
now we're in.
Yeah.
We're locked in.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm on this journey. Let's do it then.
What made the pivot happen for you? Because you were a literal no child
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, so my husband and I decided we didn't want kids, but we were both like, we weren't so no that we were going to do something permanent about it. Like I wasn't going to like take out everything and get tubes tied in it. I wasn't going to do that.
Or he wasn't going to get the vasectomy.
Right. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a for sure never kids. It was just like, nah, not for us. We're good. You know, my career was always my baby. It was the thing that I held most high, that I just sought after. Like when I laid my head down at night, I wasn't thinking about being a mom. I was thinking about being a guest star on Law and Order SVU. Like that's all I wanted. You know what I mean? Like that was my dream. So
super
all of a
relatable.
sudden it changed. And so keep in mind too, all my friends would tell me, like my friends in the industry, they would tell me like having kids is the most fulfilling thing, like more than your career. And I'd be like, really? I don't think so. And so what happened was it was 2020. COVID, everybody's on lockdown, right? Nobody's touring, nobody's auditioning, nobody's filming, nobody's doing it. Everybody's home. And during this time, I was enjoying the fruits of my labor, finally. I was like, I had a balcony that overlooked the city and it was beautiful. And I never put furniture out there because I never had time to sit and enjoy my life. I was constantly touring, working, hustle. When did I have time to just like breathe and enjoy? And I finally got to start enjoying what I had worked so hard for. And I was like, oh, this feels good. This feels nice. And then I was like, man, I don't know when this is all over and I go back to touring, I don't know if I want to go back as hard as I have been, like just nonstop, go. Like if a show sells out, you want to add another one? Yes, add another one. Like just yes to everything. Yes.
But by the way, that comes from such a real place of us being in this for so long where you're not maybe selling now, or at least for me, you know, so, or like they're not returning the calls.
Yeah.
So once you get to a place where they are adding a show, your body can't say no. You're like, oh my God, I've wanted this for so long. So
strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
That's what they always say, you know? And that's what I said to myself. And also I would watch movies and TV shows and I would see roles and I'd be like, I could do that. What the heck? Well, how come I didn't go out for that? I could totally do that. Like that's how I would watch movies and TV shows. And during COVID, I would watch and I would just enjoy TV and shows. And I had the thought, I was like, if I never act again, like I think I'm okay. I think I did enough to where I'm like, I did it. It was fun. And that was the first time that I was okay with my career not being my all. It almost like makes me emotional a little bit because I'm like,
I know, like this positive COVID story where COVID made you stop
because
for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the biggest lesson in life though, is that what we're so programmed to chase after, especially like as women, where it's like, we have to put this over motherhood because this is what, you know, this independence. It's at the end of the day, like, you're right. Like, like it cannot be your number one love.
No. And it was the first time that I realized that my career was not as fulfilling as I thought it was because here I was saying I didn't need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were like, I'm just going to relax.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi, babe.
Hello.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi,
So gorgeous.
goodness.
Sorry I'm late. Traffic started in front of me.
No, I was the same way. There was like 3 helicopters circling over me. And I was like, well, I guess I'm rescheduling again. Like, this isn't going to happen.
I was going to be like 2 minutes late, and then the train over there came.
Yeah.
And then, so there was
Oh, yeah,
that
like
too.
right
always a
here.
train.
Oh, yeah, the strip club adjacent to a train station.
That
We
strip
will
club
go there
we
one
never,
day.
The strip club we never made it to.
Yeah,
We'll
You
listen.
look gorgeous.
Thank you so much. We thought we were going to start out light with just a deep, meaningful, what is life conversation.
So it was at that point where you were like, oh, like my career is not number one anymore, and there's more to this life than just touring.
So it was in that moment that I was like, oh, shoot, did I mess up? Should I have had kids? All my friends were telling me like it's the most fulfilling thing. Should I have done it? Did I mess up? Then I start questioning. And then I'm like, well, I don't even know if I have any options. I don't know if I have eggs. I don't know what I've never looked into it because I never cared. And so I was like, I guess I should like go to the doctor and like find out. And so that's where my journey started. I went to the doctors. We did blood work. work and they did like ultrasound and stuff. And they're like, okay, you do have eggs, but it's like minimal situation down there. Like if you want to do something, you got to hurry up and do it. I still wasn't sure I wanted kids at this time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to save my eggs then. So at least I can do that. At least I save my eggs. And I had friends who'd done that before. And like my friend, she got like 16 eggs. And this friend, she got like, 20 something eggs. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll just like save my eggs. The first time I did, I got 2 eggs.
Wow.
Oh, man. I thought you were going to say, I got egg.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like.
And that number drops like each
That's
round,
the
right? When
thing.
you test it.
Well, so going through the process and every week you go do your ultrasounds and it was like, okay, you have 12 eggs. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do 12. And every appointment, it was like, oh, okay, only 9 of them are growing. Just kidding, just only 7. And then it kept going down and it kept going down before retrieval day. And then it started becoming a conversation of, hey, this actually might not be for you. And the more I got bad news, the more they told me this might not be for you, the more I wanted it.
I had the same thing. So I had a miscarriage a couple years ago. And like, and also before that, like had tried a few times and didn't get there. And there's something about when you start trying and you can't get it that like, I'm not thinking anymore, do I want kids? Do I not want kids? I'm like, I just want to get pregnant.
Or you
like,
want the win, like you said.
Yeah.
You want to win in this situation. Not everyone's like Annie with her 22 eggs right out the
No,
gate.
but I did embryos. There was only 4 embryos out of like, I
Yeah.
think I did have like 20 something,
Yeah,
22 or
22,
something.
right? Yeah.
What a crazy process too. So you did more than one egg retrieval?
Yeah, so I did the first time. And at the time too, talk about like, that hustle and we're working women and all of that. I was touring during that time.
Mhm.
I was living out of a suitcase, not just touring, but also we sold our house. Like during COVID, that was another thing that we discovered. We were like, okay, if I'm not going to go back on the road as hard as I have been, then I don't think we can afford this big, huge house. Like, so I didn't know if I was going to hit the ground running or if I was just going to like sprinkle in some tour dates. So we decided to sell our house just in case. And so we sold our house and then we split our time. We bought a smaller house in LA and a smaller house in Nashville. And then we go back and forth. So we're like, okay, then we'll get rid of this house in the hills that I worked so hard for and we'll just go buy a fixer-upper. So we bought a fixer-upper and we started fixing it up and we were living at our friend's 2-bedroom apartment at the time with them. It's not like they left and let us live there.
Okay,
Them
wow.
and their dog, us and our dog were living in a 2-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood. And that's when I was doing my IVF. So I'm like shooting myself with hormones in their
It's so
apartment
insane.
kitchen.
You're such an athlete.
I mean, wild while I'm touring. And like at the time I booked this show and I had to like cancel some tour dates to like film the show. And then I ended up getting fired from the show. And then so it was like all of this emotional stuff while I'm shooting
They
myself
thought you were a
with
junkie.
hormones.
They're like, she keeps coming in with these track marks.
yeah,
We
they're
have
like,
to fire
fired.
her."
Get it off the show.
She's injecting it in a weird place. But.
Yeah. She doesn't even know how to do drugs. Get her out of here. And so it was like a really hard on my body process. So it's almost like, of course I only got 2 eggs. Look what I was putting myself
right.
through.
Totally.
I was stressed out. I was like traveling. I didn't have like a home to like come and like be peaceful at. Like I'm living out of a suitcase. So I only got 2 eggs and they're like, okay, we got to do it again. And IVF is expensive.
Mhm.
And it's expensive on your body, expensive on your wallet. It's like
Your mind.
everything.
Yeah.
All the
I have a
things.
question
Your
about
friends and family?
IVF. Did you ever consider going to Tijuana for it?
What?
No.
A couple of my friends now.
You're like, how did I get skinnier? Oh, wait, they took all my organs out. Oh my God, not only do I not have
might be
eggs, I don't have
missing
my kidney.
No, but so my friend had to do my best friend had to do multiple rounds of IVF. By the end of it, she found a really great doctor across the border, and it was like an 1/8 of the price, and with like basically concierge service.
Wow.
And she did the duo stim, where apparently you don't have to wait to retrieve eggs just on one phase of your cycle. You can do back to back, so you can get it in your luteal and your other phase.
Whoa.
So it's like hardcore in Mexico, but she got it done and she would just drive from LA. She's like a little Korean girl. Just
Wow.
Do you remember when we were offered, a doctor offered to do our eggs for free? And I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I do that? I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? I was like, I don't trust free for some reason.
yeah. But so you were living in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
and you were just
Got my 2 eggs.
2 eggs.
And they're
That's
we
so
gotta do it
cute.
again.
2 bedroom, 2 eggs, 2 couples, 2 dogs.
There's something in the 2.
It's a Noah's Ark. That was cute.
And so like, hey, you got to do it again. Oh, also something I found out during this journey was that I had fibroids that were so large and in a location they're like, you can't get pregnant with these fibroids. So you have to get these fibroids removed.
Jesus.
And this is like, so it's after COVID, all these electoral surgeries are being canceled and pushed out. And this was considered electoral, right? And so I'm like, well, I don't have time to wait to try to get this done. And then if they call me and I'm on tour, like, how does that work, you know? And again, back to being like a working woman trying to like make this happen. I get on a list for like backup if there's cancellations, and then I got somebody canceled, and I was able to go in and get my fibroids removed. And then when they went in, they found out I had endometriosis everywhere.
What?
So it was supposed to be like a 2 to 4 hour surgery, ended up being 8 hours.
Oh my God.
So they can like scrape out endometriosis, take out fibroids. Like my body was not capable of having a child. It was like, no, that's
And
a
you were
mess in
under for
here.
this?
Yes.
But your husband's probably freaking out because your surgery was
honestly,
like,
I don't know because he was home.
Yeah.
But so they take out all this stuff so that I can get pregnant. And this was, again, back to like shout out to women, like how we just get it done. This surgery, they called me, they had an opening 2 weeks before my book came out and 3 weeks before my tour started.
Wow.
So I go in, I have this surgery, put my body through all of that. 2 weeks later, my book comes out. And I think it was like a week later that I had my book launch party. And I was like full on pain meds, just like, hey, everybody, yay.
Like most Hollywood book launch parties.
Exactly. Exactly. And then my tour started like 2 weeks later, and then I'm on stage and I had like some really like active jokes where I'm like running across the stage and I'm like, okay, well, let's hope I got it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started my tour where we did like 100 cities.
What?
That's insane.
I just can't believe how many roadblocks came up for you in this process. And like, that's why I'm so glad that we're talking about this because like there's just, you have your baby.
Yeah.
But when you're telling this story, I'm like, there's no way
It's
this
almost an
hasn't been
impossibility at that point. Like everything was just stacked up against you.
Yeah, so I had that surgery, and then I do the IVF again, and this time I got 4 eggs, right? So I still don't get anywhere near 16, but I got 4. So now I have a total of 6 eggs, right? So then we go to, at this point, I'm like, now I want kids. So it's not about saving my eggs anymore. Now I'm trying to get some embryos and make me a kid. And so in the beginning of this, my husband, he got his sperm tested so that we can see if we're compatible to have kids. And they're like, yes, you're compatible. He had like billion count sperm. He was great. When they go to do the like the mix it up thing, all of a sudden he didn't have any sperm. 0 count. And we're like, wait, yeah, exactly. It was like, wait, what do you mean 0 count?
How do you go from a billion to 0?
How is that even possible? Well, my husband was on testosterone supplements. When you put in a foreign testosterone, it tells your body to stop making your own testosterone. And your own testosterone is what creates sperm. So he didn't have sperm because he had been on testosterone. So then we have to put my eggs on ice. We have to wait the time for his sperm cycle to come back.
Were you mad?
How long is that cycle?
I was disappointed.
But he's also ripped, so that you have that.
We were like,
She also have a ripped
wait,
husband.
what? We had no idea, which also meant like when we were trying naturally, it was for no reason. He didn't have no sperm. So
How
I mean,
long
not for
was
no
that
reason,
cycle?
but
How long was that cycle?
I'm getting my numbers mixed up. It was either 6 months or 90 days. I don't remember what it was. But so we had to wait for his sperm to come back. And then they put it together to make the embryos. And then we got 4 embryos.
Ooh.
And then they sent them off to testing. And only 3 of them made it through the testing process. And then by the end of it, none of them were viable.
Wow.
And I got that call after a show while I'm in the car driving to the next city to do another show.
Oh my God.
Because they grade the embryos, right?
Yeah.
A, B, C.
Yeah.
Or
It just
most
makes me feel like shit because I just think of like getting a call that's so scary and it's like you didn't get the job. But like to imagine that's the bad call you get.
That's
like,
the job you don't get is a mother.
Like sounds so difficult.
I will never bitch and moan again after today about anything. Like
No,
it's
we still
such
can. We still can. We got a lot. I
will.
I still complain if I don't get the job. I'm like, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
well, I can do that.
But were you like, how did you feel where you were like, okay, I did everything on my side of the street. The eggs are ready.
Yeah.
And then you find out that your partner was not ready.
Yeah. It was more disappointing. We were both baffled. We were like, what? We didn't know this was a thing? Like, we wouldn't have been doing this, this whole time. And it sucks because he did get tested. So we thought like, oh, he's good.
Yeah.
We didn't know that right after that when he started supplements that it was going to change everything.
I mean, I didn't know that either.
Me either.
Now we know. Also, hot saunas for men.
Right. I know that one.
Definitely.
Hot tubs.
Spas,
Right, hot
for
tubs,
sure.
yeah.
Julian.
And they're saying now, like
Julian knows a lot about spas and sperm,
I was
doesn't he?
reading. Also, like the type of fabric of the underwear apparently matters. Where it's
I heard
like-
that
And
too.
how tight your pants are.
Right.
It's a whole thing.
What else, Julian?
Yeah, Julian, can you give us some more
Also, like
gay
keeping your
trivia?
hot computer on your lap.
Really?
Yeah, you're not supposed to have your
when you're
and
watching
also,
Saltburn.
And also if you have and also if you have the microwaves that are down at like counter level, don't you know what I'm talking about? Where like sometimes they're like in the
Don't push start with your penis.
don't like
Your balls are not to be touching that.
Wait, Julian, how do you know all of this?
Look at him.
I don't know.
As a
Just
gay
really-
man, you really want to protect your sperm that bad?
I mean, yeah.
Julian wants to be a pregnant woman.
I'll talk you out of it. Okay, so you get this call that says none. By the way, no, none of them are good.
None of them worked.
It's always on the way to a gig too, huh?
Yeah,
It's
just
always when you're
like, hey guys.
What's up, Chicago?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was, and I tried to do all the things. Like they said it wasn't viable. And I'm like, okay, but like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like
Let's
how,
try.
yeah, like what if we just like give it a go? Like you never know, cause I've read things like, oh, they said it wasn't viable. And then turns out like it just needed more time to incubate or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
Or it's
but-
like a low grade, but then it turns into a perfect child. You're
Exactly.
like, why'd you give it a low grade?
Yeah. So I was researching, asking other people, and they were looking at my report and they were like, nah, girl, these are bad. You can't do it. And I was like, all right, well then they're like, you got to start over from scratch and go get some more eggs. And I already knew how hard that process was for me. And so I'm like, I'm on tour and I'm like, all right, well, I have November off. I had just so happened to take 3 weeks off in November. And I was like, I guess I can just try again in November. So this is like early in the year, maybe like March, April, somewhere around there. I go, okay, my taping, I was taping my hour special on October 1st. And so I was like, all right, well, since I'm not doing the IVF thing, I'm just going to like go hard and work on me, my body, so that I can get snatched for this taping. So I was like, I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to not eat club food after 8 p.m. because, as soon as you come off stage, you're like, where's the tendies and fries? And
Not
I was
even
like,
the spinach artichoke shit.
I
dip.
know. There's a vegetable. I was like, I'm not going to eat after 8 p.m. I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm going to work out and I'm like going to make healthy choices because I'm trying to get snatched for this taping. And so that's what I was doing. In my mind, I was getting my body ready for the taping. But what I was really doing was getting my body ready to get pregnant because I ended up getting pregnant naturally.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wait, that's so exciting.
The week before my taping.
Because imagine having to do that shit all again too.
Well, I was thinking,
so stressful.
as you were telling, like the whole ordeal of like getting your fibroids, endometriosis, like the testosterone blocking the sperm, it sort of started to make sense that you weren't getting pregnant naturally because there were all of these like barriers to pregnancy, right?
Yeah. And I was like, just thinking like, oh, because I'm old. I waited too long. My
I
bad.
fucked up.
And what was
Yeah.
that like where you were like, oh my God, like,
That's why I'm saying when it happened, my heart dropped and I was like, and then it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Wait,
Yeah.
what? This
I just
actually
wanted to
worked?
see if I could. Yeah. I was just trying. Yeah. I've always been like undecided about whether I want to have kids or not. And then over the pandemic, after I got vaccinated, I got my FSH tested, but I got it tested at like the wrong time of my cycle. So it was really like low or high. I can't remember which is bad, but it was like bad where I was like, oh, fuck. And then I started thinking, is this from the vaccine? And then I started to get really like mad, like I was robbed of this choice. And then that's when I was like, oh, I gotta like freeze my eggs because I'm like, I wasn't sleeping. I was so like I'm still kind of undecided, but I was just very like, I gotta get something in place. And then I have 4 embryos now, but that was
Good
such a
for you.
hellish
Yeah.
time.
At least you have those.
Yeah, no, it's nice. But then you hear people that are like, they try that and that doesn't work too. So you're like,
That's true too. Like I could have done it again, gotten my embryos, and they're like, okay, you have one that's viable that you can do, and then we can try doing the implantation, and it doesn't take, and then you start over, or you just call it quits. You know,
it's such a difficult topic, and like my heart goes out to just anyone that is out there that is trying, that is like in a pregnancy where they're not sure what's going to happen, or in a, like, it's just so hard.
Yeah.
And because our society now leans towards a way where like literally all 4 of us in this room, I'm sure all of us went many years without even giving it a consideration.
Yeah, it's like what you're saying with touring. It's like my body is my money. Like my body being on the road is my money. So I'm like, it's so scary for me to think about taking time off, even if it's only like, I mean, Esther's like still doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I wasn't my first trimester. I had to cancel every gig. Like I couldn't do anything.
Now, what is it like doing this movie tour promotion when you're this pregnant?
I'm promoting my indie movie, Drugstore, June. Comes out in theaters.
Congrats.
February 23rd.
I said 28th.
Yes.
It is, I will say for me, and I'm curious like your experience, but like first trimester, life was a 0. There was no chance at anything.
She had too much saliva in her mouth.
I wish I
Even
still
with
have.
Dave driving you around.
It was
to
just
places.
so sad.
You looked really sick.
It was bad.
really sick for all of us. There was a lot of blotting.
Second, everyone, I don't know, everyone goes, you're going to be amazing. It feels so good. I didn't get that. Like for me, it just went straight to like debilitating acid reflux, throat on fire, spitting, whatever. I think now towards the end, I'm feeling the best I've felt, but that doesn't mean good.
Yeah. I hear you.
So it's kind of like, okay, like the most common thing for me is like I wake up, I didn't get any sleep because I wasn't comfortable all night, and there's so much I want to do, and I'm like, I can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Did you have that experience?
Yeah. All of that.
Yeah.
And I was touring too, so I was like,
While pregnant.
I wish I didn't book so many dates so I can like make a nursery. I don't even have time to like build what my nursery is going to look like. I don't have time to do any of this. And then by the time I was done touring, it's like, finally, well, now I'm exhausted. Now I don't have energy to do it. I'm like, ugh, somebody do it, please.
Right now, nursery is my N-word because whenever someone brings it up, I'm like, how dare you? Like, because my mom keeps being like, well, so you haven't gotten, because I'm 33 weeks and I just am in denial. I haven't done
I feel like this is a
anything.
perfect thing for your mom to do. Maybe she's just asking for you to go, can you do this,
You know,
Mom?
my friend Johnny wants to build your nursery.
Great. Send him my address today.
Yeah, I will. I think he's been asking since like your first trimester. He's like, I want to do it for Esther.
Great.
Done and done. Boom.
Angela, when you first got the first positive pregnancy test, where you're like, this can't be real. Like, this is not.
Yeah, I did. I had a good friend of mine who knew that I was kind of like on the fence about it. And I went to visit her in Connecticut, and she gave birth to her 3rd baby in her 40s. I think she was 43. So she was very much like in my ear, like, you can do it. Like, don't let age stop you or make you scared. Like, you can totally do it. So when I left her house, she gave me a handful of pregnancy tests that she still had from when she was trying. And she's like, here, just in case, you know, like, so I had these little strips. They're like, you buy on Amazon, a whole pack of them, right? And so I did her little strip. And when I saw the pregnant, like the 2 pink lines, then I was like, wait, am I reading this right? Like, it's not, so I'm like, doing the instructions, going back and forth. It's like in like Chinese characters. I'm like, I don't know how to read this. And then I remembered that I had one that was like that just says pregnant or not pregnant. Right. And I was like searching for it.
I needed that one too.
Yeah, I started searching for it. I found it and I did that one and it said pregnant. I was like, oh, no way.
It's like a digital clock.
This
You're
is
like, do I have to
Guys,
read the
2
arms?
lines.
Yeah.
2
Tell me
lines
the
is always
numbers.
positive.
Yeah.
There's a control line, and then there's a
But
second
that's,
line.
like, kind of
even with
faint.
COVID.
I know, but yeah, she's right. Like some of them are faint, and then you read, is it a evaporation line? Like,
Yeah.
there's
You're right, because my best friend said like when there is, she's in this forum of like women who really want children. She says your mind can create the line.
Yes. Yes.
Because you want it so bad.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I think there's a really faint line there.
You know how many
You have to have a
Reddit-
friend tell you, be like, oh, babe.
Yeah.
You're delusional.
I've been
Come
on
here.
so many Reddit threads where they post it. They're like, is this a positive? And everyone like weighs in. Because I was looking at all those because I couldn't tell if mine was or wasn't. But I remember the first time that I did sort of see a line, I got in my car, went to CVS and got the yes or no, whatever. Because it's like, that get those, just have those in stock at your house.
Yeah.
the
everybody.
words, not the lines.
The words.
Full sentences. You are.
Some of us need the lines because reading's troubling for us. But
Annie gets the words one.
I need to have a baby just so they can read things for me.
No, you should have just like colors, like green or red.
Oh my God, green or it's Christmas colors.
Oh, yeah, colors would be good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I feel like, so I'm 40 now, and then I have like, there's like different trains of thought, especially in this business. Like a lot of moms that I know in this business will be like, some will be like, you have to have kids now, don't care about your circumstances, like don't care if you have your money right or anything. It's all about like not being too old or whatever. And then I have my other friends that are like, you got them on ice, get your career where you want it and stuff like that. How do you feel about?
Your career can pop off in your 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
80s. Is up to you as far as that.
Yeah,
Our bodies, however, unfortunately, we do have a time clock.
yeah.
Like, I would love to be just like gung-ho, like, yeah, do you first. Babies
Yeah.
can wait, but unfortunately, they actually can't.
Yeah.
Like, you have eggs up until a certain time, and then once you cross this threshold, then it's like, sure, you have eggs, but the quality of them goes down, the number of them goes down. Then you actually carrying a baby, like you have more health issues and risks. And even though they consider 35 geriatric or whatever,
Right.
that's high risk after 35, it just becomes more high risk. And my whole pregnancy was fine up until like the last 2 months. They considered me high risk because my baby wasn't growing where she should have been. And they were like, she should be at least 4 pounds in there by now. And she was like coming in strong at like 2.5 or whatever. And so they're like, now you have to come in to do weekly monitoring twice a week. And I'm like, wait, what? I have to drive to the West Side twice a week?
Yeah,
Like
what
this
the hell?
is,
Yeah.
are you sure?
If you guys aren't from LA, driving to the west
Yeah.
side or driving the opposite
We're from-
direction.
yeah.
I don't care where
is-
the good doctors are. I don't
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So
don't go anymore.
it's like, I would say at least you have your embryos.
Yeah.
So there's that. So you have done your due diligence, and then it
I did the open
becomes-
mic.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it becomes like depending on how you would want to raise a baby, right? If you're in a relationship, if you don't care about being in a relationship, like I have a friend who she's approaching 40 as well. And she was like, I want kids so bad, but I know I don't want to do it alone. So if I don't have a healthy relationship, I don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
And so then there's that aspect too. She's like, I'm going to work on finding a healthy relationship and do that first. And so there's that aspect too. There's
Yeah.
like, how would you want to raise a child with a partner, without a partner,
Yeah. I feel like I'm engaged and stuff. I have a good partner. It's just, I don't want to have a kid in a rented apartment.
No,
I
I
just don't
hear
want to
ya.
be like stressed. I don't want to be like
If it doesn't feel
stressed.
right for you, it doesn't feel right for
I know.
you
I could
right
also
now,
just
right?
not have kids too,
Yeah, that is also an
which is so
option.
weird.
And also, I like if that's how you feel. But I do want to say there's nothing wrong with having kids in a rented apartment in general. But
I'm just talking about for me.
yes,
Yeah.
totally.
I don't want that. Yeah. No, I just don't want to be like
There's-
stressed.
You know what's nuts is, there's like the universe really is so tricky in that, there are women who really struggle with getting pregnant. And then there's this other thing that I just found out about through TikTok called Superfetation. I think that's what it's called, where a pregnant woman well into her pregnancy gets pregnant again with a baby that's like younger. So like there's this woman on TikTok, she was like, if you guys want to know about how I have a 1-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I'm like, what the fuck? So her body goes through a second ovulation while she's pregnant. And then when they do the ultrasound, they're like, oh, like you actually have twins, but one is really big and one is really small.
Wow.
But in reality, it's just that this one is the new pregnancy and this one is the latter.
So then there's two births
Or
6
the
months
later.
apart.
Right.
Oh,
and you
my
birth
God.
them.
That's wild.
Some birth them at the same time, and one is just a preemie, and one is, fully cooked. And others, I think you have to give birth at separate times. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what's scarier than getting pregnant while pregnant.
This feels like
Pregnant while
a
pregnant.
horror movie that you're just.
It's crazy because don't they encourage sex while pregnant, especially at
Kind
a certain,
of, yeah.
I think towards the end try to like induce,
Yeah.
I think. But
To
they also
pop
say
it.
in your second trimester, the woman's hormones changes to a place where you want to have sex a lot.
I wonder why, like biologically, like what is the purpose
They're trying to
of
get
getting
that second
horny
baby,
again
that second
Yeah.
pregnancy.
in a second trimester? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the mission has already been accomplished. There's a baby in there. Why do we need to get
interesting.
horny? Like
The relationship between those kids must be so weird. The like 6 month apart kids, they like probably have the weirdest. Like we were kind of in the
we kind of
The
twins.
second one's got to have crazy abandonment issues. Like I was with another baby, and then now I have 6 months
What
off.
about then the first one's like, this was my thing.
Yeah, you came in and
Yeah,
stole
this
my
was
shit.
my thing. You stole my thunder. I do want to say when you were like not having a baby in an apartment because I don't want to be stressed. I do not live in an apartment. And I feel like I'm doing pretty well for myself.
Mhm.
And I still get stressed.
Yeah, you're still stressed.
Because it's like, more money, more problems, whatever. But then you start thinking about like providing a type of life
Mhm.
that I live, right? So it's like, okay, well, I'm used to this life. That means I have to keep working to keep providing
Right,
this
totally,
life. And then
yeah.
so I still get stressed out. So I think whether you're in an apartment or in a big house or you have multiple houses, the second you bring a child in, everything changes regardless
Right.
of your status, and like stress is going to come. But it's like we were talking earlier, I think it comes down to just balance in your life and adjusting.
Mhm.
It's always constantly adjusting. I used to live life like this. All I had to worry about was my phone bill, my rent, my groceries, just for the two of us. We can go like on, this and that for a whole week and we're fine. And then now you have a baby and you're like, oh, wait, I have to think of another person. And it's just that slight adjustment, constantly adjusting, because when you fight it and you're like, but I don't want to change this,
It's like more
then that's
stressful.
when it's stress.
Yeah.
But when you radically accept my life is going to change constantly, like we're going to get used to this rhythm, and then she's going to get a little bit older and need something new from us. And then here goes adjustment again.
You just
Adjustment
grown,
again.
Julian.
It's hard.
I think you're audibly grown.
How dare
hard.
you?
I got very stressed.
Yes.
No, I know the thing that hit me like a couple months ago, I was like, oh, so every time Dave and I want to go out, it costs a babysitter.
Yeah.
I have a solution. Move to Asia. I grew up in the Philippines, and you get so much help with, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like a Chinese confinement nanny, where when you give birth,
Sounds illegal.
they actually have it here.
bindy.
You have the option to have it in the United States. I know there are confinement nannies here, but basically it's to fully take care of the mother and allow her to heal in the first month. So all the meals are being cooked. It's 24-hour round-the-clock service to the mom, making sure that the mom gets sleep, is fed, and that is so common in Asia. Like in America, like we're expected to kind of just get out of that hospital and then just do everything, just suffer, neglect your own needs, and just like somehow be proud of the fact that like you're a wreck, right?
And then go to work in 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then that's just not how I grew up. So it's like a lot of my mommy friends back home, they have 5 kids and they are just way younger looking than me. Their lives are just like, I love my kids. It's so different than here. It really is. The American mom is a big contrast to, I think, the rest of the world in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I also feel like shit for all the times there's been a crying baby somewhere near me. And not that I've ever said or done anything, but in your head, you're like, ugh.
Totally.
And now I'm like, what a little bitch that I am for having that reaction. But I also still understand people will still have that reaction and they're allowed to. But I just feel like that sucks.
A crying baby has never set me off in that way. Like someone with bad breath on the plane will like far like get me way angrier
I
than a
have sat
crying
next
baby.
to a BO where I'm like, can I move and sit next to the
Thank
baby?
you. Yes.
Can I trade? The baby's chill. This baby's cool.
I would give me a crying baby, a tantrumy toddler who's trying to like get up in my space. Like that's cute to me. But a dirty motherfucker whose BO is
I have
just
grace
wafting.
for the youth too as well.
Yeah.
For young.
I
yeah.
get it. I totally
And then
get
people
it.
that are older that should know better, you're like, what the hell?
I know. It's like, sir, like you have a fully formed brain. Like, why didn't you shower, brush your teeth? Like, know that you're sitting next to somebody.
I saw an article while I was driving here, so I didn't really get to read it. But it was something about someone
just
getting
saw it.
kicked
You didn't
off
read
of
it.
a flight because they used the bathroom too much.
What?
Oh my God, that's
I
my
just
worst
saw, I don't know. I
nightmare.
don't even know why my phone was on it. I don't know if you're going to be able to search it or whatever. But
that's
is
just
that so funny?
What? Like
Kicked
maybe
off.
they kept making their row get up or something?
Like I think maybe they just they hogged the toilet so much.
It says passenger Joanna Shu was removed from a WestJet flight in Mexico, citing an upset stomach. I feel like if you go to Mexico,
She just diarrheaed too much.
Well,
I mean,
I saw
wasn't
that
there
where the
that-
person diarrhea down
I
the,
did see that.
the
That's
aisle.
wild. I like that. It's like, should have let me stay in the bathroom.
The images of that were horrendous. by
Poor
the way.
thing. I felt so awful for that person. Like they didn't. The whole plane has to turn around, and everybody's life is like, JK. They were 4 hours into their flight
Yeah.
overseas.
And they'll remember you forever.
That's why I said,
Like-
give me a baby. The doo-doo is
Yeah.
contained.
Yeah,
They should have the barf bags, but for your ass.
Yeah, something.
Butt bags.
I will say it's really unfortunate when someone like shits their pants though, and
Yeah.
then you're stuck with that smell.
Esther and I had
How
that.
often
Yeah,
does that
I've told this
that's our
story 100
origin
times, but
story.
we definitely had an epic
You
moment
guys shit
of
your
it.
pants?
No.
There was a shitty pants in front of us on
yeah,
a flight.
for a Montreal Comedy Festival
An adult?
flight.
It was
an
an adult.
You guys
we thought
have
it was
like
the
a
kid.
senior?
We thought it was
Yeah.
a kid. We thought it was the baby. I had to have an altercation with the mom, who was French Canadian, very pissed at me. Pulled her baby's asshole out. Was like, it's clean. I was like, oh. And then we realized the darkest realization that it was just the elderly man next to them.
He was
And
incontinent.
he's listening the whole time, knowing it's him.
I
He's
don't
like,
think he could
"Ugh."
hear. Luckily, no, I don't think he realized until later. But
You
I
guys
think-
have never shit your pants like ever in your adult life?
I haven't.
I
yeah,
did in
I'm gonna
high
shit my pants the
school.
other day.
In high school, what happened?
I talked about this in my special, Hot for My Name on YouTube. I shit my pants at Cold Stone. I thought, yeah.
And they chopped it up and put it right in.
Andy, no.
It was a Gookies and Cream.
And then
I hate you so much.
and then I was technically wearing a skirt, so I can't really say shit my pants. But then I had to throw my underwear away at Mangiano's next door.
No.
To rally like an 18-year-old.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forget. I know. But yeah. So I also then saw on Instagram, you are going on a big tour coming up, right?
Well, I'm writing my new hour.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily a tour like the such and such tour. It's more so like I just booked out a lot of dates
Yeah.
at clubs
Yeah,
to go
hell
and,
yeah.
and write some new jokes.
To me, that's a
Um,
tour.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, is that not a toy?
Yeah. No, I'm
You're hitting the
but
road.
I mean like it's not like
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have like.
I did it
theme.
tour
Yeah.
or whatever. It's just like, and then I always feel not bad, but like I feel like I have to preface to the world, like I'm writing new material, guys.
Yeah, totally.
So like some of these will be bangers, and then there may be a period of time where you're like, is she losing it?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
I
I'm
have
trying
to
something
say,
new.
I know that I don't speak for everyone, but as an audience member, I enjoy those shows more.
I think people do like those. Yeah.
because it's just off. It's a more live experience. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I understand the caveat you're making, but I think those are so much fun. And so, what like does baby come with? Like,
So she's coming with me on weekend gigs where I'm doing like multiple days in a row. I'll bring her with me, and she stays at the hotel. She doesn't come to the club, but she'll stay at the hotel. But because I'm still breastfeeding, and so the only time I leave her is when I'm doing just like a one night at a casino
Right.
or something, and I'll just fly there 24 hours and fly back, and that's changed about my life. Typically, I'd be like, I'm gonna take that like 11 a.m. flight so I could sleep in a little bit, you know, and then now I'm like first flight out so I could get back to her.
Right.
And those little adjustments that have changed for me, like that's my preference, is to get back. And I used to always laugh at Mal Hall. He opens for me a lot. He has 2 kids. He has another one on the way. And he would always, like, after a full weekend of shows, he's like 6 a.m. flight. And I'm like, bro, sleep in. Like, enjoy that you get to, like, sleep for a minute and be away from your kids. And he's like, nah, man, I want to get back. And I never understood it. I'd be like, that's wild. And then here I am. Now I understand. And
We're having
I'm like trying to get that.
Thanks, girl.
Off camera, I asked you.
We're having a little banana break. We do this every episode.
Yeah, we just eat a banana.
You don't have
Nothing
to
weird
eat it.
about it.
Okay, good.
don't
Thank
have
you. I
to.
have a hard time with
lot of
banana
people don't eat
texture.
banana.
But I would like to take it home
Yeah,
and put it in a
take it home.
smoothie later.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
Okay, thank you.
So, very on theme with today's episode, we're talking about Ritual, which is my favorite prenatal vitamin. And before that, it was my favorite multivitamin. But did you guys know that 95% of pregnant women are not getting their recommended daily intake of key omega-3s? Enter Ritual. Their prenatal contains 350 milligrams of eco-friendly vegan omega-3 DHA, which you need in every serving, sourced from algae and oil instead of fish.
And isn't like the first 28 days of pregnancy like the most crucial time for like neural development, and when you need that DHA, when you need that folate?
And you probably don't want fish anyway at that time. You're probably like, ew, keep fish away from me.
It's like you need to live off those prenatals. And also it has like a nice mint coating, so it doesn't have that vitamin smell or taste. Like Ritual, I personally did a lot of research, like long before they were sponsoring us. This was the vitamin that I chose for my prenatal. And then I've now been working into my like nightly, I weirdly do my smoothie at night, but like I use the prenatal Ritual protein powder, which has choline, which is this random thing that you've probably never heard of. And then all of a sudden you get pregnant. They're like, you need it, okay? And so Ritual has just made it really easy to get all the things that I need for the pregnancy.
Why settle for a multivitamin you're not 100% sure about? Ritual was literally built on trust, so you know it's the real deal. Get 20% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/trashtuesday. Start Ritual or add Essential for Women Prenatal to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/trashtuesday for 20% off. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I think the most important thing that I've learned through therapy is self-love. Whether or not you're in a relationship, your soulmate should be yourself. And I think through years of therapy, I have finally learned to sort of step into that place where I'm like, you know what, Kalila, I like you. And I think that's really important for people.
Well, the other thing too is like people just assume, like, let's say you're in a new relationship or it's an existing one, that it should just be easy, right? Like, and if it's not easy, then it's not good. No, relationships can be hard, and they might need therapy and like therapy tools. For me, oh my God, I've learned so many tools in therapy that have saved my relationship with my mom, with friends, with Dave. Like, I just would not be able to get through without therapy. And if you are someone who's thinking of starting therapy, highly recommend BetterHelp. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/TrashTuesday today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TrashTuesday. Earlier off camera, I asked you, like, because you are someone who, like, you know, takes good care of herself. You work out. Is it harder to work out during pregnancy or after, or when the baby comes?
So rude to not ask Esther. So rude.
Oh, I know her routine. She's been so diligent about walking, Pilates. She is a fit mommy.
Thank you.
Good for
I'm
you.
trying. I think because I went so long where I was just bedridden that I'm like, I don't care what it takes. I'm moving. And even though I keep bitching, I'm like, every walk I go on, I'm like, this is a bad value. I'm working so much harder. I'm getting way less out of it. Like, I'm so grumpy, mopey about it, but I'm forcing it.
And do you go to prenatal Pilates? Like specific?
There's some of those, and
Because
sometimes
Eliza's is wild. Eliza's
she's so
Instagram is
good.
fucking
Her Pilates is
wild. I'm like,
amazing.
damn, girl.
and then I'll just go to a regular Pilates and just kind of like, you know, not do it all,
Right.
which is how I do
Yeah.
Pilates anyway. So
That's what's fun about it. It's like I could get fit or not.
Yeah. For me, it was not easier when I was pregnant, but I enjoyed it. Like, I liked watching my body change. And so I would work out, and I liked challenging myself to a point where I'm like, look at me, like I'm pregnant, I'm still doing these moves, and like I still had like the energy of like a girl who's never given birth before, my body was still able to move and do certain things. Then after I had the baby, I had a C-section, and it took me a long time to recover, and I was scared to move, and I was like, oh, I don't want to like mess up anything with like my insides or my scar or whatever. So it took me a long time to be okay with moving again. And then now it's honestly just like getting back into it, like getting into routine is really hard. Like I'll work out for like a couple weeks in a row, and then I'm just like too exhausted. I need to go. I didn't pump. I'm not going to go to the gym. I need to stay home and pump. Like, and then I missed my opportunity to go to the gym. So I'm like, well, I guess I haven't gone to the gym for the 8th day in the row. And, so for me, it's harder after, but then I have friends who like jumped right back into it, and they're just full on like, hey guys, I'm back. And I'm like, okay, good for you. You know?
Are you ever more attracted to your husband when he's being a good dad? Are you ever like, oh my God?
You know what's funny? That's a good question, because this is what I'm actually talking about right now in this hours. I don't know what happened, but when I came home from the hospital, my husband just annoyed me more than ever. And it's like, did you always breathe like that? Like that was, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is. And I've talked to some moms that are like, yeah, I went through the same thing where it was just like, roll my eyes, like go away. But I don't know if it's because there's so much of us going to this baby that it's just like I have all this, like I have to keep a baby alive. Like I literally have to keep a baby alive. And then like my energy goes to the baby, like my heart, my love, like all the things. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're here too. Okay,
you
great.
You hear about this with dogs.
Yeah.
You don't hear about it with the husbands. Nobody's has talked about this yet.
Yeah. So it was like a whole thing. And then my husband had to like kind of call me on it. I didn't realize I was doing it. But he was like, hey, so like, you don't really smile at me that much anymore. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. And it was like, you used to like touch me, and because I'm very affectionate. And so if he's near me, I'm touching him. I'm like scratching his head. I'm like his face, like something. I'm always like touching him. And he'd be like, you haven't like touched me in a long time. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Like it really has become intentional. I have to actually choose to be affectionate with my husband as opposed to it's just a natural like thing that's like happening for me. And I'm hoping that, and it has, like around the 6-month mark, I felt a shift where I naturally started like touching him like out of nowhere, and I noticed it and I was like, oh, look at me, I'm scratching your head.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even like choosing it. Like I just did it like good old days. And so I'm hoping that like more of that starts coming back. And I think it has to do with our hormones as well. A different thing like shifting. So the more I'm getting back in alignment with my hormones, back in remembering myself, taking care of myself, the more that I'm like, oh yeah, I feel good about myself, so I can like give you love too. But if I'm still like, I don't feel happy with where I'm at, I'm exhausted, I'm like, am I being a good mom? Am I doing enough? Am like all the things.
Right.
My brain is multitasking. Like, was the decision I just made for her the right decision? What I'm doing right now in this moment, is this the right decision? What I'm gonna do tomorrow when I pack her suitcase to go on the road, is that the right decision?
Oh, cute
so I'm
little
constantly
suitcase.
like questioning and myself, and then the mom guilt and all of that. So I don't really have a lot of capacity to just be like, babe.
Yeah, you're
you
just your
know?
bandwidth, I think, for the extracurricular is kind of lower because like your full focus is the baby. My mommy friends explain it like this. They're like, my body is just dedicated. It's devoted to this thing, this life. It belongs to no one else. So, and because she feels as though she is constantly being touched by the baby, always has this skin on her, that like the touch of her husband almost like repulses her. Where she was like, I'm busy doing what the fuck I have to do. Like, don't fucking touch me. And I have enough touch, basically. She's like, she's touch overload.
Yeah. I fully get it. And for me, I felt the turning point at 6 months where my hormones started coming back. I started exercising again. And I feel like once I was getting back in touch with me, not just mom version of me, but like, oh yeah, me. The things I like, the things that make me happy, the things that make me feel sexy, the things that make me feel good and healthy. Once I started like tapping into that again, then I was like, oh, I have for you. I remember this. Yeah. It just took me a second, you know?
Yeah.
Jog your memory.
Yeah, it really does.
That's really good to hear because I am trying to really prep myself like whatever changes that come they are temporary, like you will come back, everything. Like I just am trying to really be prepared. I'm not in the mindset of like my baby's going to come and everything's going to be magical in my life. I'm like, this is going to be a challenge and hopefully it will feel those magical things. And also I'm sure there will be a lot of like lows as well. And so I'm trying really hard to prepare myself.
Wasn't a time in the first trimester where you were just like, I can't even like look at my partner?
That I had, but I had that with like literally this plant, like anything that was in my vicinity. I was like, I hate you. This is disgusting. Like even my dog, I was like, she's yucky. Like,
yeah, because that's what I hear a lot, right? Like the first trimester when like things are just, maybe it's because you're just feeling pretty off with that surge of hormones.
I don't remember if I was very nauseous. But for me, that didn't happen until after the baby came. But no, first trimester, I was still just very excited that like we did it, you know? Like, so it was like, and we kept, every time we would look at each other, be like, can you believe we're doing this?
Hell, yeah.
Like, whoa, you know, it was more of like that for us. But
I met Greg Fitzsimmons' wife, Erin, she's a postpartum doula.
Oh shit.
Isn't that cool?
Whoa.
So she just deals with women after the birth, and she was like, I would love to be like a birth doula, but she's like, the hours are too hard because you just get called in the
So
middle
she's
of the night and
basically
stuff.
like a newborn specialist.
Yeah,
I
isn't that
love
cool?
that.
And
Yeah.
just to support the mother and the relationship.
Does that mean she's like a night nurse or she?
I don't think she's a night nurse. No, I
Okay.
think she's like the support during the day. Like, and I don't know that she's coming. I think she's just like there to kind of help you transition into the.
But from what I
role.
understand, like newborn specialist kind of crossover into doula, crossover into like night nurse. Night nurse just means like that's a doula available to you between these particular
Right.
hours, but you can have that 24 hours.
Right.
Well, Whitney's girl is amazing. I mean, that's so cool to just have someone. She just has someone really like with her, supporting her, that knows all of these things, can like,
Right.
educate her on
And I
what's
feel
going on
like
with the baby and
I
stuff.
wish we lived in a society where that was available for everybody, where that was something that was like government provided for, and that mothers could actually breathe and enjoy like the early weeks of having their baby and feel taken care of. And I don't know, it makes me sad that that just isn't the reality for so many new moms. And it makes me like, if I were to ever get pregnant, it makes me want to like just straight up move back home to Asia and like peace out, because I know that it would be a far easier experience there.
Yeah, the nuclear family is a scam.
It is, right? Isn't it like a capitalistic move?
Yeah. I see you on TikTok. Yeah.
Explain it, Esther. Explain the nuclear family and capitalism.
It is just a scam.
Yeah.
We're all but it's fine. It's working, whatever, but it's a scam.
No, I agree with you. I had a baby nurse as well. And I feel like the fact that I had a baby nurse really contributed to my mental health, and the fact that I didn't deep dive into postpartum depression. Like I had postpartum anxiety, postpartum like all kind of other issues, but I didn't get depressed. And I feel that having my baby nurse really helped, because it was some relief. It was like partnership. Even though my husband is my partner, this woman was educating me along the way and teaching me. It was kind of like a mom, because my mom lives far away. So she came in when she could, because she still works full time, and then she would have to go back home to work. And my sister came in for a little bit, and then she had to go back home to work. And so I had this woman here who was like a professional mom, basically. And she was like teaching me everything from like how to like hold the baby to like feeding and like all kinds of stuff. How to like, I don't need to be super delicate. Like she's over here one hand in the baby and like doing stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you do that? And when she left, after she was with me for 3 months, after she left, I wept.
Oh.
I wept probably like 3 weeks in advance. When I knew we were approaching the day, I was already like, when I would see her, I was like quiver lip, and like she'd be like, don't get mushy, you know?
Yeah.
And I wept. I was so devastated. It was like, kind of like the end of a relationship. Like we're breaking up, you know, but we're on good terms, but we're breaking up.
But you're also my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Like my mom's leaving, like it was wild. But I will say that I didn't talk about it much on social media because I'm very active on my like Instagram stories and I like to share my life with people. I didn't talk about having a baby nurse until the very like end of it because not that I was ashamed. Maybe there was a little bit of that, but it was kind of like I knew what I was experiencing was a luxury that not everybody can have. Damn, I get emotional again. Like I think about my sister who like worked so hard and she did it on her own. And when I was having my baby nurse, she'd be like, I didn't know that. Like I didn't know that's how you're supposed to do it. And I was like, I hate that you couldn't have had this too. And there's so many moms that I'm like, I wish, like you just said, like this was something provided for us. Like everybody gets this. And we don't. And I'm lucky enough and I worked to be able to, you know, I'm glad I waited until I'm in my 40s and I could afford this because I saved a lot and whatever. But even like women who work their hardest and save their hardest still can't afford this. And so I knew it was a luxury and I felt uncomfortable sharing it on my social media until like the very end when I started thinking about, okay, like how can I present this in a way where it's like, I don't have to be ashamed that I have this person here helping me, but I also am aware that it's a luxury. And it was like that dance that I had to do like with my social media.
But the fact that something like help with your child is considered a luxury and something now you have to feel shame or guilt about is what's inherently wrong, I think, about motherhood in America. The fact that you had to hide that versus saying, hey guys, like this, I needed this help. We all need this level of help. Someone with us constantly giving us the education, giving us the lactation tips. And I think that it is a lose-lose if you were to just share that right out the gate. But it makes me sad that it is even called a luxury.
I'm so glad that we have your point of view on this because you're from a different country. So it's like, oh, you actually like came up knowing a different version.
And
so
can
you
I
have
tell
a
you?
strong.
Yes, and can I tell you, Esther? I live in a country that is quote unquote third world, developing nation. A lot of people living in abject poverty. The poorest person living in a shanty town, living at a dump site, has help when they are young moms, when they are during pregnancy. It is even a person living in abject poverty gets help because we don't live in nuclear settings. There's always someone in the home, and having a nanny, or what we call a yaya, is just like the most common thing. Like it's just like I had 3, I think. You know, like I had like my sister and I had 2 each, and then there was a person washing my mom. Like it's just so part of our culture to like support motherhood. And
when they say it takes a village,
Yeah,
that's
no,
where
and-
it came from. It was actually the whole village would be a part of raising children.
And I always tell people, it's like, if you want to have a really great vacation with kids, it's not going to stress you out, go to Southeast Asia, go to the Philippines. There's always going to be someone who wants to hold your baby, who wants to help you, who wants to support you, who's not going to give a shit if your kid's crying, throwing a tantrum, who's not going to shame you if, you know, like your kid's just having like a meltdown. And more and more, like if I were to ever like have children, I do like fantasize about, I'm like, how can I move back home for a couple of years? Just to protect like my soul and my spirit, and because I've seen both sides, and it is a very stark difference.
I also think about like my mom says this a lot. She was like, in the 80s when you're pregnant, you had to really hide it. Like you had to wear like baggy clothing and like it was something to be ashamed of. And she's like, I actually really love that women now like show it off and it isn't such a shame like thing that you're shamed for. Like putting your belly out or whatever. But she was like, when I was younger, when I was pregnant, like I did everything in my power to not let people know that I was pregnant because it was like getting in the way.
Well, it's so true because then that was also, which I think this still happens, then like your boss or people are like, oh, they're pregnant. They're not, they can't work anymore. They're on their way out. And it's just your so you have to be scared of that. Now maybe a little, but back then a lot.
I'm thinking about the Diane Keaton movie. What was that? baby boomer or something. And she's like pregnant, but she's like in a really baggy suit with a.
Well, it's because we're so culturally, America is so obsessed with just making money and keeping your job and all that stuff. So it's like we are second-class citizens, you know? Like
honestly, in order to be considered or praised as a mom here, like you really do have to be a fucking Division I athlete.
Yeah.
Basically. Like you really do. It's like, it's insane to me how much it takes to be considered a good mom here and how little it takes to be considered a good dad. It's right here. You can do so little, but just post one Instagram post with your kid and you're like, he's such a great dad.
I know.
Look
If
at
I could
him.
be a dad, I would have kids.
Me too.
I would have a lot of kids.
Absolutely.
Just spread my seed.
Yeah,
I'm on
and
testosterone though.
Wait, okay, so is it true you have a new YouTube special?
It's true.
I didn't know this until I got here today, and I'm like, how have I not watched it yet?
Is it true that it's already up to 3 million views?
Wait, what?
I mean, it's approaching. It's almost 8-9 months out. It came out in May of last year on YouTube, and so we're almost at 4 million views.
Oh my
Amazing.
God.
I'm very proud of it.
Oh my
Self-produced, self-financed. This is my 6th hour special.
Incredible.
And
Damn.
thank you. I'm lucky enough to I've had a special on Comedy Central, on Netflix. You can go on Amazon and see some specials that I've done before. And as you guys know, my career started on YouTube when this nail salon video went viral. And I had no idea how that was about to change my life forever. And I had no idea I was going to be a comedian. So with this one, I was producing it myself. My husband and I put a big chunk of money into it. And we were like, I want this special to look as good, if not better, than what you see on Netflix and any streamer, HBO, wherever you watch a special. I want this to look amazing. And so we did it at the Ryman in Nashville, and it was beautiful. And I put it back on the platform that started my career for me all those years ago. And it was kind of like, here it is for free, everybody. Like, thank you for riding with me for this long. Thank you for everybody who ever shared that video with your friends. And like, here's my special, and I hope you enjoy it. And it was my most favorite hour that I've done so far. And I had so much fun with it. I had so much fun touring with it that once I was done, I was like, oh man, I have to write new jokes. Like, I like these ones, you know?
It's so funny. I watched it this morning.
Thank you.
What's it
Especially the
called?
sister.
Thank you. It's called Say I Won't.
Say I Won't.
Oh my
Say I
gosh.
Now,
Say I Won't.
do you
That's
have
what it is.
do you have people screaming out that they want the nail bit at your shows
yeah.
forever? That's like your You Can Do
Forever.
It for
Yeah.
Rob Schneider.
It's what if I don't do it? I mean, I have to do it. It's somebody's gonna shout it out. A lot of times I have to say, just wait for it. Wait, you know what I mean?
You like long or short nail? Short nails, please, thanks. Oh, honey, that's why you don't have a boyfriend. I do for you. Long better. All right, fine. I'll have long nails. Thanks. It's okay, honey. Only $4 more. That's okay.
But there was a season of my life career where I tried not doing the joke, and it was the wrong move. I was listening to the wrong people is what happened. I was hearing through the grapevine, the word on the street was, oh, she just has that one joke. All she does is that one joke, you know, that kind of thing, right? And I all of a sudden felt like I needed to prove myself to other comedians that I know I'm more than this one joke, but I'll show them I don't even need that joke and I'll still crush it. And the first time I did a show without doing that joke, I was at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco. And it was years and years and years ago where like, I think Facebook was like the main mode of social media. Like that was it. And after that show, I got a message from a girl and she was like, hey, I drove in from, 4 hours away to come to your show with my mom. We love your nail salon joke. And we were so disappointed that you didn't do it. Like, it was really sad. Like, we bonded over that joke and we were really just looking forward to hearing it live in person. And it was just really disappointing. And it wasn't like a mean message. Like, I got what she was saying. And it was kind of in that moment that I realized I was listening to the wrong people. And I was like, how stupid. Like, I'm listening to these idiots
And it's
who
like lower
don't
comics too.
care.
It's like never, it's never
Exactly.
someone doing better than you saying that ever in a million years.
They don't care about me. They don't like my post. They don't buy tickets to my show.
Right.
These people care about me. They buy tickets to my show. I need to be writing for them, you know? And so it was kind of, that was my switch for me. I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to keep doing this joke for the people who want the joke.
Right.
And so now here I am 16 years later, and I present this joke kind of like a thank you to the audience, like at the end of my show, just like, this is probably how you know of me, how you heard of me.
Oh
you
my God,
probably
They must
bonded.
They
must go nuts.
It's wild.
That
It's
is so
really
cool.
crazy.
Like to be a comedian and like you have a bit that is like, it's like just a rock star playing their hit. Like it's just gotta feel so good and so rewarding and so fun. Like I think that's awesome. Anjelah, thank you so much for coming by. This was like the most, I just feel so educated, so connected, like so related to, I don't know, I'm just so glad that, and again, like my theme this year personally is like women who had a lot of life and then they're like, oh, I'll throw a baby in there. So it's been really cool to hear all this like experience that you have and that you're balancing being yourself and a mom.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
This was a great conversation. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, Anjelah.
Yay, everyone go watch her special.